This episode of the Kyrpton Report is brought to you by Tweaked Audio.
To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Welcome back to the Kyrpton Report. This is Tyler, and with me is my lovely co-host.
Hi, guys.
Miss Jania. That's right. My partner in crime. My woman for life. Miss Jania. My wife. Just so you know, for your first-time listener, Jania is my wife, and she is beautiful. So, what we're going to talk today is about the Supergirl episode for The Girl Who Has Everything. Now, this is a cool episode because it's one that's adapted from a story that was written. So we're going to talk about the story first. The original story is called For the Man Who Has Everything, and it was a Superman Annual 11 in 1985. It was written by Alan Moore, and the artist was by Dave Gibbons, which are the team that was responsible for Watchmen. And what it is, it's Superman's birthday, and Batman and Robin at the time, and this Robin is Jason Todd, and Wonder Woman bring Superman a gift for his birthday, but when they arrive, there is a flower that's on him. And what it is, in the graphic novel, you see, the flower is making Superman basically have his perfect fantasy dream. And some of the things that happen in the graphic novel is, Batman, when he touches it, he sees his parents and everything overcome Joe Chill, and he marries Kathy Kane. But Superman, as he has it on longer and longer, the dream turns more nightmarish to where his father's been discredited as a scientist. His family's kind of in ruins because his father just preached about the end of Krypton. Now, this has been reprinted in a lot of Alan Moore works, Superman works. You can find it. There's a one-shot story, being an annual. And then in 2004, Justice League Unlimited, I think it's the second or third episode of Justice League Unlimited, did it and adapted it. And in it, it's just Batman and Wonder Woman that go to Superman
on his birthday. And in it, it's heartbreaking because Superman has this perfect life on Krypton. He has a son. Yep.
Batman, when Bruce has it, he sees his father beating Joe Chill in the alley, and then he has to get the flower off, he has to reject it, and has to accept that his parents were murdered. It's a heartbreaking story. I think the cartoon is a little bit sadder than the book, with everything that it gives us. And, in the cartoon, the biggest element is Mongol. Superman fighting Mongol in the cartoon, just like in the book, and he almost beats him to a pulp. In the book, Wonder Woman's fighting him as Robin and Batman are trying to get it off Superman. And, eventually they get the flower off, and they put it on Mongol, and Mongol sees his future as just being there on the war world. Now, that's the basis of the story that we're going to look at in tonight's episode. But Supergirl, this episode begins where the last one left off, which I love that they're doing that with each episode now. Mm-hmm. They're ending it, and then the next episode's starting where it left off. Basically, she gets a gift, and it's the flower. And do you know what that flower's name is, Jania?
I cannot remember, no.
You cannot remember? Well, hold on. And I will tell you, because it has a really, really cool name that I, for some reason, am forgetting. The Black Mercy. There we go. I wanted to play the Black Astra, but that's, Astra in the show, and that's not right.
Nope.
But it's the Black Mercy. So, this episode of Supergirl picks up where immediately she's back on Krypton. And basically, everyone is trying to tell her that she had a bad experience. The whole life on Earth has just been a really bad experience for her. And she's starting to believe it. We see her mother. We see her aunt. We see even little cousin Cal. You know?
I mean, they're basically telling her that that was a dream.
Exactly.
Everything that she went through on Earth is a dream to her.
She sees her father, who never gets his name mentioned. Like, not like he has a huge connection to Superman or anything, why she's Supergirl, but, you know, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, her mother's the important one right now.
She has the fever.
Yes.
The fever. Like it's some sort of sickness, but my thing is, as sad as this is, and we've talked about this before, that Supergirl's character is a little bit more tragic than Cal's, because she has memories of Krypton. She has stories to tell. So it's really hard for her because she's buying into this so much. And she doesn't know what's going on. Meanwhile, her super friend zone boy, Win, is covering for her with...
Friend zone.
Poor guy. I mean, come on, he's so far in the friend zone... He's meeting her boyfriend's parents, you know? Like, he gets looked at like the little brother that just follows around with the puppy dog eyes.
Aww. He's so awesome, though. Okay, continue. Let's continue.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, him and good old super stud Jimmy Olsen are covering for her. And this episode's just great where it's supposed to be Hank as Kara for Kat. And he's just like, Like when she's standing there at attention, you know, like a military person would, and Kat's giving her orders, and Wynn's whole cover story about lice. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, think of something.
Whoa, hold up, Tyler. Okay, before you get too far ahead here, let's pull back real quick, because I just want to talk about how awesome Melissa does. And this whole part where she goes from being her normal Kara character,
We still have that problem.
Yeah. And then flipping over and being Kara through Martian Manhunter's eyes. John Jones' eyes. You know, John Jones.
John Jones. You know, you're right. It's cool because she's also playing Kara on Krypton, because as the flower goes on her longer, she slowly starts to give in and believe what she's seeing. She starts...
All I'm saying is she's really showing a huge diversity in her acting. And I'm getting more and more impressed with her as the series is going on. Because, you know, I mean, to start off, I've always enjoyed Supergirl. Okay? But we've always talked about how the pilot is a difficult thing to watch sometimes and hard to get into. Mm-hmm. So when I watched the first episode, I was like, oh, this is all right. This could be cool, you know? Mm-hmm. But now just watching the development of her acting and the character and everything, it's just becoming just more fun. And it's cool to see her as an actress just blossom, you know? And this episode really does that. It showcases her abilities as an actress.
And I completely agree. It's the same with David Harewood. When you see him as Hank in front of everybody, I just did air quotes for Hank, people. You know, and then you see him more as John when it's like him and Supergirl and him and Alex.
And then you have the Martian Manhunter, like when he like turns.
Yeah.
I know it's the same thing basically, but I feel like that he's still trying to be Hank to a point when he's in that.
He's a little bit more comfortable and laid back, like in the last episode when she's like, you know, I have super hearing, I can keep a secret, and they both turn to her like, no, you can't. You know, like that side of him, not more of the, I'm Hank Henshaw, the leader of the DEO.
Mm-hmm. I think he gets lost in that sometimes, you know, and he loses himself, who he actually is. So anyway, let's keep going. Back on track.
Back on track. You know, this episode's cool that you see, you know, Astra is a very interesting character because we keep hearing about her plan and what she wants to do, and there's this whole solar storm going on right now, why Hank can't use his satellites, and that's supposed to be part of their plan, but we're not really sure what her plan is. And I like that she's trying to help Alex.
She's this character that you have a love-hate relationship with. Like, one second you're just like, you're really being a pain in the butt. And then the next second, you sympathize with her, you know? You can have some sympathy for her situation, see where she's coming from, you know, losing her family, her planet, you know, and she's going about dealing with it in a different way, you know, than Kara is.
You know, it makes you wonder more and more what the backstory is about her and what she's doing. But what kills me is the character that I can't stand, that I'm not happy with, is Non. I feel like he's only Non in name. Like, you've watched the Superman movies with me because I made you, and then eventually you like them. It's okay. We're in the safety of the podcast.
Pretty sure I liked the first Superman movie before you came around. Let's just say that. Pretty sure I watched that as a kid. Had nothing to do with you. Good job trying to take credit there, Ty.
All right, fine. But you remember how Non was in the movie. You know, the character of Non was supposed to be a brilliant follower of Zod who was a scientist too, but who got lobotomized and became basically just a brute.
Right.
And big, physically imposing, you know, dark hair. We have like blonde, wussy looking guy.
Now, okay, I have a question for you about Non, because I don't know a whole lot about Non listeners. Like, I really don't.
You could say you know none of Non.
Exactly. But how did he get lobotomized? Where did that happen?
On Krypton.
It happened on Krypton?
It was part of when he was with Zod on his coup. I can't remember who did it. Dang it, I'm drawing a blank. It was part of his punishment. He got lobotomized.
Now, wouldn't it be neat if they kind of took that, but like turned it so Max Lord lobotomized him and made him become like a weapon for him?
This is my wife right here. This is my wife.
See, so the character is not completely lost, and it's not completely, you know, a crappy character necessarily. It's just one of those characters that hasn't been developed completely, you know. So you've got to give it a chance. You gotta hold out, you know. See what happens with Non.
You know, it's not like Lex Luthor. I mean, Maxwell Lord here is, you know, everyone's favorite scientist. All the stuff all the trouble he's been doing. I mean, of course they pull him out to use him in this episode because, I mean, he develops that device that's going to put Alex in mind with Kara so that she can basically see what Kara is seeing and help talk Kara out of it's a dream. But Maxwell Lord's such a Lex Luthor wannabe.
He is. He's a knockoff. I mean, but if you notice, there are some things in the show it's a knockoff of Superman.
It's hard,
you know.
Like I said, like it's hard. They're working on carving out their identity, and I think
they're doing a good job in some aspects. They're really, really.
Yeah, I mean, they're building the side story and the side characters and giving her own supporting cast, which is great. Like, you know, as Winslow shot Junior, you know, Cat called him Twin Man Jr.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's really cool in this episode, especially how you were talking about the other interpretations of the same storyline, basically, but that involves
Superman?
No, not Superman.
Batman and Wonder Woman and Robin?
Oh, sorry. It involves Mongol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I like with this that they don't involve Mongol. They completely take out that aspect of the original storyline, and they give it their own twist. You know, you bring in Maxwell Lord, you have him with his, you know, apparatus that basically, you know, helps save her, you know? Like, it's really a lot cooler in this aspect that her sister goes into her head and into her dream and tries to pull her out.
And just the whole sister comment. You have a sister.
I do.
So just, you know, I have a brother we've grown apart, but I still love him. But he never listens to this. I can say whatever I want. But, you know, the whole, like, having that as a side story.
Yeah.
You know, giving Kara her support, like we said, her supporting cast, more so using the different lines of the comic book series, not, you know, making her Kara Kent, giving her that identity by really chiseling out her own backstory. It's giving more myth, but as far as some of the, just villains and stuff, they're working on trying to break from Superman's shadow.
And that's so hard to do, I feel like, with the villains.
Well, I mean, there's some really good stories that they've done with Supergirl. Sterling Gates did the great story with Superwoman, who was Lucy Lane, which would be interesting if they build that. We talked about that when they were introducing Lucy onto the show.
Oh, yeah.
About the scientific experiment. I actually have the book over there on the shelf. If you want to pull it and read it again. That could be something interesting, especially as that tension between Kara and Lucy builds.
That could be really interesting, because I could see that going in a couple different ways. It could once again be something that happens through Maxwell Lord, or it could be something that happens through Lucy Lane's father.
Exactly. I mean,
through fear, and
General Lane wants his own weapon to control.
Yep.
And
what's better than using
your own daughter?
Yeah.
So, that's something they can do that helps her. I mean, I loved in the New 52. I don't know how they could pull this off, but Brainiac, made the cyborg Superman was actually her father. It was Zor-El that had been mutated to look more like Jor-El. So that's something that could be really interesting. One thing I'll tell you wasn't too keen on the kid they picked to be young Cal. He's okay. Just side note.
I think you're being a little picky, Ty.
I'm extremely picky. I'm sitting
I understand
in a room,
why.
I'm sitting in the Fortress of Solitude here, a room covered in Superman stuff, and I'm looking at...
We are literally surrounded, guys. We'll probably put up some pictures sometime so you can actually see our Fortress of Solitude. It's covered in everything comic book, Superman, Batman.
I'm looking here in one wall.
All DC, basically.
I got Tom Welling, Christopher Reeves, and Henry Cavill.
Yep.
Does that little kid look like he'd be the younger version of any three of those guys? No.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Don't even try.
Okay, let's talk about this, though.
Where's my giant Brandon Routh? That's what I need. I need a giant 6-foot statue of Brandon Routh in the corner.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up was how tragic this episode truly is. It really stays true to the original storyline that they did through the Superman comic.
Yes.
And, with Justice League Unlimited.
Where he has to say goodbye to his ideal son. And as, everything gets me now. Like, as a new father with a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
I put myself in those shoes. And I'm just like, oh my God, I couldn't do it. Like,
yep.
I can't even watch the beginning of Man of Steel. I have to skip the first chapter on the Blu-ray because I can't imagine having to give up my child like that.
But with her, for me, the tragedy lies in the fact that she came to Earth thinking that she was going to be with her little cousin, Kal-El. He was going to be this little guy that she remembered from Kyrpton and loved and cared for like a brother, to protect him and to basically raise him. I mean, let's be honest here. Yeah. So she came to Earth with that in mind, and then she gets to Earth and he's an adult. Like, that would completely rock my world. Say, for instance, it was my son, and I came to Earth expecting him to still be little, and then here he is basically grown up, and I don't get to raise him the way that I expected to, and I didn't get to see that part of his life. Even if it was a brother, it would still be heartbreaking. So for me, it's like watching her look at the relationships that she has with her parents and Cal and her aunt. And her aunt's another thing that is completely heartbreaking too, because she wants so badly on Earth. She wants things to work out with Astra. Like, she loves Astra.
She does.
And right here shows it. Like, she's struggling so hard with the idea of leaving her family the way that she wants it to be. And stepping aside and saying, you know what, my sister's right, and my sister's
his
important.
family.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's tragic because her whole purpose of existing and surviving is gone.
Yeah.
As where Cal looks at, like, oh my gosh, I have family. She's like, I have family, but I have no connection to his family. You're basically a stranger, but we're both cousins.
And that's so sad. That's just so sad because...
It reminds me of Thundercats. In the pilot of Thundercats, Lion-O's a kid, and they get put in these cryo tubes, and they crash land. Well, there was something damaged to his, and he aged. So when they open the tubes, everyone's the same age, but Lion-O's now a full-grown adult, physically, with the mind of a child. And I'm like, poor, at least Kara didn't have that experience.
That's very true. Very true.
But it is, just Alex looking at her in her face and telling her, like, this is wrong. Like, this isn't it. And her looking at her mother and her aunt and just being like, I have to go. It's kind of like the Matrix. She's basically in the Matrix. It's her dream world of what she wants, her perfect. And even then, the planet's exploding. And what would you do?
I would believe that I would do what I'd have to do. However heartbreaking and difficult that may be. I think about what my dream world would be like. And...
Jenny, we can't talk about that. This is a family podcast.
Believe me, you're still in my dream world. Don't worry.
That's what I was alluding to, but if there's something we need to talk about, we need to put this on pause. We will return to your regular scheduled programming momentarily.
Oh, gosh.
But, man, this scene right here, we got it playing in the background just because there's just so much. This scene I wanted to get to and just watch again, where the Black Mercy comes off of her, and she wakes up, and Kara is just completely distraught.
She's completely shaken, and she has to come back to reality, and it's not an easy comeback. It is a crash into reality.
I think this would have been a really cool, like in the comic and in the cartoon, we get to see that glimpse of that heartbreak of Bruce Wayne watching his father destroy Joe Chill.
Just let's pause for just a second there, Ty. Look at her face. She goes through so much emotion in that short period of time. When she wakes up on the table, she's got this confusion on her face. And then she goes into, I just lost everything. And there's this mourning.
Again.
Yes. And there's this mourning that she goes through. And then you watch her get off the table, and it turns from mourning into anger. And it happens so fast.
And it's so fluid and natural.
And she's resolved as soon as she turns around to look at her sister and ask, who did this to me? It's crazy.
This could have been a really interesting if they got it off and it had touched, like, John Jones. Just because of his tragic story.
Yeah, it's different because in this, it crawls off of her and Wilson dies.
Yeah. And Maxwell Lord's looking at it like, I love this. I love Wayne talking with everybody, and they're just like, okay, yeah, tech guy. But
super smart, awesome tech guy
exactly.
that nobody ever thanks. Or
if any of our listeners out there are tech people and hackers, can we be friends? Because all these shows are based on someone who has a best friend who can just hack a computer like nothing. And
I don't have any friends like that.
I don't either, yeah. And I would love to have that friend. So if you're a listener out there and you're like that, hit us up on Twitter and on Facebook. We can be friends.
We'll be your best friend.
Just saying.
Anyway. She's so determined here at the end of this. And like I said, it's tragic, but it's tragic for more than just her loss. It's tragic for the fact that she just becomes very determined to... basically destroy Non.
And now she wants to destroy Non because he's basically heartless, and I'm really now excited at the idea that he might get lobotomized by Maxwell Lord or by her. Like, okay, in Superman Doomsday, the cartoon, I think it was it, or maybe it was in a Justice League episode. My bad. He uses his heat vision and lobotomizes Doomsday. So what if like they shot Non with kryptonite, and then Kara was just like, ah! Did her heat vision. I freaking love heat vision on this. I love that it's blue.
It's so cool. I love, once again, they're taking something that was, originally done by Superman, and they're making it their own. They're stepping outside of the norm.
Yes.
And even though it's a different color, it's still stepping outside of the box, and it's neat.
I love seeing this fight between Astra and Martian Manhunter. I love seeing him in full-on Martian Manhunter. But dang, when Alex just knifes her with the kryptonite sword blade, holy cow, that would just... It was a wow moment of just, oh my gosh.
I mean, you expected Martian Manhunter to do it, but...
I expected Martian Manhunter to hold his own more because he's supposed to be super strong. And he hasn't tapped into his telepathy.
But you know what? He might be completely out of practice from trying so hard for so long to be something and someone else.
Someone he's not.
So
Which
maybe
is a nice
it's...
parallel to Kara, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because she hid who she was. In a sense, he's hiding who he is.
Well, I mean, we have talents and we have abilities. All of us do. And we all know that if we don't work on those talents and abilities on a consistent basis, that they sometimes, we're not, as sharp with them as we would normally be if we had worked on them as hard. So I think the same thing goes with, John Jones in this case.
And it's so sad, but John does the right thing. I killed her. He takes the blame immediately. He says it immediately that I did it, because Alex...
He's protecting Alex.
Exactly. He's protecting their relationship.
Yeah.
He cares about them. And if Kara, that's another thing is like, he swore an oath to Jeremiah that he would protect them and look out for both of them.
Well, I mean, you think about it too. Kara has Alex up on this pedestal.
Yes.
Alex is Kara's hero. For the most part. Even more so than... Clark, Kal-El, Superman,
Because she, she has a cousin, and it's interesting in this that they don't have the close of relationship as you would think they would have. But
I like it.
Oh, I do too.
I like it because it lets her be her own person.
And that's how she gets out of the shadow.
Yeah.
And I like it just as well. And that's what makes Alex so important.
Yeah, if Alex wasn't there... Who would she have that tight-knit relationship with? She basically has the relationship with Alex that she should have had with Clark.
Exactly.
So, it's kind of neat to see and to watch.
As long as they don't take Astra's body like Maxwell Lord and try to make it Doomsday.
Gosh.
But Non's like, he just looks to the sky and screams, Kara! It was a really bad Star Trek impression.
It was really bad.
I know.
But it's okay, I still love you.
I love you too. Man, kryptonite swords. I hate kryptonite. I wish they didn't have kryptonite.
Why, Tyler?
Because it would just be awesome.
Kryptonite, I mean, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
You have to have something.
Kara breaks everybody's neck.
There has to be some kind of weak spot.
Emotion.
That would be about it, I guess.
After they kill all the bad Kryptonians, all the kryptonite disappears. That's the second season. That's basically what
Third season is Maxwell Lord going and finding it and digging it up.
Third season is Maxwell Lord gets mutated into Mongol. Next thing you know, they're going to bring in Metallo, which I think would be pretty cool, actually. Just because I'd like to see a really cool Metallo. But anyways, I mean, that's pretty much the episode. The episode ends with Kara's back, and they tell her about how John tried to cover for her, and she's having a good time with Winn and
I love right here that Winn basically looks at her and at the end and he's just like double checking we're friends, right? You know, he doesn't say that, but the way that he says it and the way that he implies like, hey, we're good, right? You know?
He's in the friend zone, so he wants to make sure he's still there. He's like, hey, can you just put me back?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, he cares for her a lot, and it's more than just romantic for sure. It's this deep friendship, kind of like you and I have. You know?
Yeah.
We didn't fall in love right away, right?
Well, that's for another podcast. Yeah. But I do want to say, you know, that episode was great, and I really enjoyed it. But I also want to say, for those of us who don't follow us on Facebook or the Twitter, for my birthday that was just recent, my wife took me to Metropolis, Illinois. And it was awesome because there's an amazing Superman museum there. And one of the coolest parts was they have Helen Slater's Supergirl costumes. Her flying rig? Yeah. Couple of her costumes. Mm-hmm. Some of the props from the movie. And it was just really cool because not only did I get to see it, and I could do a whole podcast just about the museum, and we might do that later, but it was just so neat to see what they have.
We walked through it twice, guys.
Yeah. I probably could have gone a third time.
Yeah.
Or just lived there. But,
you did ask.
Did. I did ask.
But I mean, shout out for that museum because seriously, you guys should go check that out. That was
It was. What's funny is there's a historical museum here in Columbus that it's like what $10 or more a person.
Yeah.
And they're advertising. They have George Reeves, his Superman costume. We paid $5 a person and saw just costume wise, George Reeves, Christopher Reeves, Dean Cain. Supergirl, Helen Slater, Supergirl, both John Newton Howard and Christopher. Crap, it's too late. My nine's going to like Superboy costumes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gerard Christopher. There we go.
Marlon Brando. Some of Marlon Brando's costumes.
Some of Gene Hackman's. Some clothing costumes from Smallville.
A lot of props, guys, from these shows.
A lot of props from the Donner movie. I mean, this itself should have been like a $20 ticket of a museum, and it was only $5. Like I said, they do Superman Celebration, and I wanted to go to the museum not during the celebration, just so we could get more of the feel of what it is and everything without being packed. But man, I want to go back during the celebration.
That's the plan.
Maybe with Supergirl out this year, there'll be some cool stuff there.
And we'll probably be able to do a podcast after we go to the celebration as well.
Yeah, we're going to look into maybe this year. We'll see. Things are always crazy here in our house. So, remember, up, and away.